Ignazio Alboré. The Second Democracy. Chapter 8. Critique of the Subjective Theory of Value. State value theory. The value of goods is determined starting from the type of political institutional structure that nations have, from which a particular system of state values and organized values derives, which determines the value of goods independently of the utility preferences of consumers and the shortage of goods. By consolidating the values of what I call age-old bureaucracy, governments determine the value of goods. Where there is a democracy and a state, there can be neither an autonomous and free market nor a free and subjective formation of value and prices. Accepting the general principle that value is determined by consumer preferences and shortage does not mean that preferences and shortage actually determine value. What works in the classroom and in books often does not work in real life. Although the subjective theory of value is formally sound and effective, political and economic practice demonstrates that things are different. The effects of a practice contrary to the official one must also become theory. The bearers of state values and of organized values are the states and the organized power. Organized power is made up of supranational political, economic and financial bodies, international organizations, parties, unions, business organizations, cartels, monopolies and oligopolies which impose value on entire countries or continents. The value of the goods is determined by 1. Government and supranational bodies. 2. Organized power, that is, unions, federations of entrepreneurs, consortia, cartels, oligopolies. 3. The productive organization of supply, that is, capital, workers, productivity of factors of production. 4. The ideas that create and transform goods, that is, technological innovations, scientific research. 5. The power relations existing between A. State and supranational bodies, B. State and other foreign states, C. State and producers, sellers, unions, D. Producers, sellers, workers. Value is not determined by consumers because those who possess it defend it, and when they do so they create a rent. Value is created by those who have it and know how to impose it on others. All governments and organized power, in deciding the value and price of goods, prepare what I call tools of state values, including 1. Government spending and government investments, GDP made up of spending, EU 51.7%, Euro area 52.6%, US 43.6%, Japan 47.2%, UK 53%, Germany 51.3%, France 59.2%, Italy 57.3%, Spain 50.6%. 2. Taxes, taxation as a ratio of GDP, France 41.9%, Netherlands 39.1%, Germany 37%, UK 34.3%, USA 23%, Israel 31.4%, Canada 31.1%, Denmark 48.2%, Sweden 46.4%, Italy 44.5%, Finland 43.1%. 3. Transfers to enterprises and households, subsidies to enterprises and households, tax expenditures, incentives, concessions, exemptions, deductions. 4. Civil servants, on average 20% of the workforce. 5. Welfare state, public assistance, public health, public social security, public schooling. 6. Budget laws, industrial policies, government debt. With the budget laws, every year governments decide the economy of the following year. 7. Control of what I call towing goods, that is, energy sources, labor, money, government spending. State and organized power make systematic choices on those goods that indirectly determine the value and price of all other goods. 8. Control of supranational bodies over government budgets and national economic policies. 9. Regulation, tariffs, geopolitical strategies. 10. Monopoly of central banks on the issuance of money and monetary policy. 11. Government protection of businesses. 12. Regulation of the labor market, that is, trade unions, business associations, collective bargaining, minimum wages. 13. Spending and regulation of supranational bodies, see subsidies, transfers, EU funds, common agricultural policy, huge liquidity emissions, ECB, Q.I, fixed exchange rates. 14. International treaties, foreign policy economic agreements, preferential trade agreements, governments, foreign companies, multi-year geopolitical relations between states, strategic agreements between states on raw materials. 15. Local politics is made up of tacit and informal mini-contracts between politicians and private individuals. Before the market arrive, everything is already decided by customs to be respected. 16. Over 80% of world trade is subject to political distortions, in the form of subsidies. Less than 20% of transactions are freely conducted. Government export incentives cover 64% of world trade. 17. The most important prices, those that indirectly determine the value of all the others, are decided under oligopolies and monopolies. 18. More than half of the countries are autocracies or dictatorships. Only 5.7% of the world's population lives in full democracies. 19. Bureaucracy, deep state, media, lobbying, announcement effects, politicization of the judiciary, political co-optation. 20. War industry is fueled by governments, which are the largest buyers of weapons. 21. Major emergencies, that is, social, environmental, health, catastrophic events, and epochal changes of direction can only be addressed by public administrations. 22. Some economic sectors cannot exist without subsidies and public regulation, see agriculture, fishing. The tools of state values are not exceptions or temporary phenomena, but the norm. The marginalist theory of value, and in fact all contemporary economic theory, considers the above to be exceptions, accidents along the way that hinder the free market and the free formation of value. Instead, they are nothing but reality, the world which professors ignore for reasons of academic success. Do economists preach marginalism out of incompetence or to avoid losing their hard-earned chairs thanks to great genuflections? Academic professors live on a cloud of mathematical models with 1,000 conditions and exceptions. Universities are just a chair factory. The academic world, to exist, must tell what does not exist. You can take your economics books and throw them in the trash.